coming up on the Outside of Sunday podcast.
Yeah, I was born in South Africa in a town called Dundee. It's in KwaZulu-Natal. My mum and dad decided to move me to a school in a city called Bloemfontein, which is about 2.5 hours away from where they lived, and to put me into boarding school, like high-level sports and really good academics. A lot of people send their kids from all over South Africa to these boarding schools.
This is where the Springboks come from.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly it. I remember that was the first time I actually felt like that stir, that Holy Spirit stir. I was 17, just about to turn 18, and my dad lost his business and we went bankrupt. Our family went bankrupt. We lost everything.
How did you come to New Zealand?
My parents had immigrated already and I had to finish school because I wasn't in all Afrikaans school, so I couldn't transfer my schooling here. Marriage is the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the best thing. So these moments where we're in the house and it's crazy and the kids are laughing and it's just... the house is a mess, but I look around me and I'm like, there he is sitting on the couch with the kids and they're playing and Harley's here and everybody's, it's so beautiful, those moments where I'm like, wow, God's really brought us through that.
Hey, you're listening to the Outside of Sunday podcast. I'm Krista, and here you'll find genuine conversations and inspiring testimonies, as well as biblical encouragement on how to live your faith in and outside of Sunday. Hey Outsiders, welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with MK today. Welcome, MK.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Marethie, is it right?
Yeah, so it's actually Marethie. It's pronounced Marethie. And then it became like, I was like Rita for a while at work, and then I didn't like Rita because I feel like that's an old lady name.
I was going to say, who's the nana?
And then when I started my job that I have now, she was like, everybody calls me MK, like they always used to call me MK, which was my initials before I got married. And then it just became now Marethie or MK. Yeah, but it's Marethie.
Marethie.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Nice. But we'll be calling you MK because that's what you go by.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's much easier to remember for people.
That works. That works for me.
Okay, perfect.
Well, it's so good to have you here and have a chat. I already feel like I know you, and we've only just had
I know.
a few minutes together this morning, and then we had that phone call the other week. So great to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's so cool. So cool.
Well, today we'd love to just get into a bit of your story. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Is the Lord has been doing a lot in your life. And so I think the easiest way, honestly, is just to start at the beginning. So can you tell us about, you were obviously from South Africa.
Yes.
Where were you from and what was life like over there?
Yeah, so it's funny because I've been thinking all the way here, how am I going to summarize all these things? Because it's just so much information, but I'll try my best, but definitely rein me in if I need to. I don't do this like you all the time, so it's quite a lot for me to summarize things. But yeah, I was born in South Africa in a town called Dundee. It's in KwaZulu-Natal, and went to school there until I was 10. Then we moved to the Northern Cape, which is about, I think, 800 or 1,000 kilometres away, so quite far. Quite a remote town we moved to, and my dad bought a farm there. And we were farming there, so I went to a little, we called it like a plattelandse school, which is like a very rural, it's very far from town, it's very far from any city, and I think there were 80 kids altogether in the whole school and 5 in my year level, and only 2 girls and 3, only 5
in your year level.
And only 2 girls.
Wow.
And 3 boys.
So you're like, you have to be my friend.
Yeah, that was it.
We have to.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. Like that was the only option, which was a huge adjustment for me. And I never really settled in the school. I was very unhappy. Like I remember crying in the mornings. I don't want to go to school. I hate school. I remember crying to my mum. I don't want to live here. I don't just want to go back. I don't like it. So my mum and dad decided to move me to a school in a city called Bloemfontein, which is about 2.5 hours away from where they lived, and to put me into boarding school. So it was an all-girls school called Oranje. Yeah, crazy. Wow. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the hostel now. That's crazy.
How old were you again?
I was 12.
12 and going to boarding school. Okay. Yeah. Well, before we get into that, because I'd love to hear about what even that was like, but can you tell us, were your parents Christians? Like, what was your faith background?
Yeah, so I remember always going to church growing up, but the church, it's not like church today. It looked very different, very traditional, very kind of quiet and withdrawn, kind of just go sing a few hymns, the old school hymns, and then he would preach and then we just have tea afterwards and go home. So not as interactive as today's churches, or not as Pentecostal, I guess, or wild and crazy as today's churches. But yeah, we did go to church growing up, and I think my mum and dad always instilled those values in us and always would like do Bible study at night with us or say a prayer or since we were born. But in South African culture, that's quite normal. Like, I think majority of people there would like read their Bible and pray or at least go to church on a Sunday. Whether their relationship with God was where it needed to be, I'm not sure, but it was a habitual thing that you just do whatever you do in the week, but on a Sunday you're in church. Yeah, it's quite common there for people to live like that. But my mum especially, she always growing up spoke about God and prayed over us, and I remember her praying for me when I was just only very little. And ever since then, she's always, and she still does to this day, still prays for us all the time and always talks about God, and my dad as well. That always, so definitely I would say I grew up in a Christian home where definitely those values were instilled in us as kids. Yeah.
And did you find that you were just like an observer to their faith, or was that something that you were actively pursuing God as a little, did you love God as a child, or were you just like happy to just go along with what mum and dad?
Yeah, I think when I was little, not so much. I think the first real encounter I had with the Holy Spirit was at a school camp when I was 12. Once I went to Marethie school.
Boarding school.
Yeah. So once I went to the boarding school, and we had these, it's like a Christian school, massive school, very good school in South Africa, and we do these camps all the time where you go like at the start of the year, and I remember that was the first time I actually felt like that stir, that Holy Spirit stir. And yeah, ever since then, that's been me. Like I think I always believed in God. Like I always believed, and I always knew about God and Jesus, and you know what I mean? Like it was always part of my conversations, but whether I actually felt it and lived it, like since after that encounter, I would say that was the moment where I actually gave my heart to God, where I was like, right, yeah, I love you and I can feel you. And it's when I felt it, I was like, no, I can't disagree with it anymore. Yeah, so that was when I was 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so can you tell us about boarding school? Like, what was that like? Because it sounds like you had a pretty stable home and great parents who loved you, loved the Lord. And then what was it like to be now living somewhere where your parents aren't and you're still a child?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
not saying
huge adjustment, like huge adjustment, like, but we didn't have any other option either, because it's either that or I go to the other school, which I hated. So there just wasn't any other options.
So you were on board with that, and
yes. I mean, I was, but I also didn't know what it was going to be like, and it's a huge adjustment going from being home all the time with your mum and dad to now being away. And boarding school is just different. Like some kids just deal with it really well and some don't, and I think I was somewhere in between the ones that deal well with it and the ones that don't. Like I remember moments where I hated it and felt really lonely and isolated and sad and horrible, but then I also remember moments where I was like, this is the best thing, like I've never done something this cool. So I'm somewhere in between there, but I do remember, I think it took a good year or 2 years for me to really get used to being far away from her. I remember one day she dropped me off and I ran after the car all the way to the school gate. Yeah, I was like, I didn't want her to leave. I was like, don't go. But yeah, no, I think I adjusted well. I found some really good friends at a really young age, and really cool space, like friend group to be in, and had couple of really cool teachers that really invested in me time and energy, and also outside of school sometimes, which was really cool. But yeah, it was hard. Like I remember being away from my mum was so hard for me, and but it was just what it was. Like there was no other choice. I had to go to school. Like homeschooling there wasn't really a thing. Like I know now, like heaps of people homeschool, but it just never was really an option. I didn't even really know back then it was a thing. So it was just you go to school and that's just what it is. So, yeah.
I'm just really interested just because it's not such a common thing in New Zealand, obviously.
Yeah.
So, could you indulge me for a minute? My curiosity. Like, what was the sleeping arrangements like? Were you like in bunk rooms?
Yeah. So
is there a leader in, like, how does that all
so
work?
with boarding school in South Africa, it's quite common. Like a lot of the really good, like top tier schools there, which are like really good sports and really good like high-level sports and really good academics, a lot of people send their kids from all over South Africa to these boarding schools.
This is where the Springboks come from.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly it. So a lot of these schools have children from very far away, sometimes even from overseas. Like we had, like our brother's school, who's the boys' school, had a couple of kids from overseas, and it's crazy. They do like a year or 2 years or whatever just for sports, or mostly sports focused. But yeah, so we stayed in a room. In different year levels, it's different. When I first got there, there's 2 different hostels on the school grounds. The one's for the primary school and the one for the high school. So the school goes from primary through to the end of high school. And the hostel that I first went to, we were just in a room of 2. And then you've got like a hall with all just room of 2 girls, and you've had like 2 or 3 prefects on the same floor, who are like maybe 13-year-olds or 14-year-olds who kind of keep their eyes on the floor and make sure we're doing what we need to do. But definitely very strict timelines. There'll be a bell ringing for certain things at certain times. We'd have study times, eat times, where we all gather in the cafeteria. And so really, really odd thinking that you shared your whole school with these random other kids that were like siblings, because you're in there with them every year. I remember how nervous I used to be, though, at the end of every year trying to find a roommate for the next year.
Wow, because you'll be stuck.
Because you either get chosen or you don't. Like somebody either asks you or they don't. And then what happens?
So is that how it works? You get to choose?
Yeah, you choose who your roommate's with. So I remember that was just a horrible time, but I was so blessed. I had some really cool roommates, and especially during high school. Standard 7, which is when we're 14, 15, we have a room of 4 girls, and all of us, our names started with M, so we would call ourselves M and M and M and M. It was so funny, so silly, eh? But I still am friends with some of them, and I can't wait to one day see them when I go back. But I had really cool friends, and some of them lived in the city, but they were still in boarding school, so their mums would like take us on the weekends, or sometimes during the week take us out for milkshakes or whatever. So yeah, made some really more like sisters than anything else. But it's kind of a weird concept, I think, if you're not used to it. Like for you, that must be so weird.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm just like, it's so it's a curiosity for me.
But it is quite common there. Like lots of people come from far away to boarding school.
Well, South Africa is so huge as well. Yeah, and like you say, if your only option is like the tiny little local school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want a great education for your kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and there the not so good schools there are really not great. So it's, it's the difference between that and a school like this is so massive that I think a lot of parents just don't trust that they can't go to schools like that there. Yeah.
And I suppose that's the other thing too, is like there is such an understanding of the value of education that it is worth, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, that was that. And I can't really explain it any other way, like a big zoo of teenagers trying to just be normal.
Did you do well in your academics?
I did. I mean, I passed all my
I was
all my
not
subjects.
great in high school. I was like...
it's past good, I guess so. No, I wasn't ever very bad at it, but I definitely just scraped through by luck. Like I wasn't good at studying.
Yeah,
I feel like now I'm like, man, I should have studied. I'm pretty flipping onto it. I should have studied because I could be really good.
Isn't it interesting, eh? It's like when you don't have that desire, nothing can make you good at studying. Like you could be forced to do it.
Yeah.
But if your heart is not in it, if your passion is not there, I've always said like I am terrible at studying and I hate like school kind of stuff.
Yes.
But if I can study the Bible, I'm like, I would spend hours and
Isn't that interesting?
I love that. That's fascinating for me.
I think that it was a thing that I just wasn't passionate about any of my subjects, and it was a thing that I just had to do it because I had to pass. But I was not like great at academics, but I wasn't terrible either. Definitely passed all my subjects and scraped through just by luck, but wasn't very good at studying. Yeah.
We're kindred spirits. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's so funny.
So what was kind of like your teenage life like while you were in South Africa, while you were doing boarding school? Your faith, was that still something that was active in your life while you were growing up?
Yeah. So, I think my teenage years looked very different to a lot of my friends and a lot of the people I was surrounded by. Partly, I think, because I met God at such a young age, but also because of my family situation. So usually like 14, 15, they start drinking, start smoking, start going out a lot with boys.
Is this your siblings?
Yeah, so I'm just in general, I think usually that would be the age where you start experimenting with different things, and I just never did. And I think it comes down to two things. One being probably when I was about 10 or 11, my siblings were a lot older than me, and they were in those phases of their lives where they were experimenting, and there were lots of substance abuse, and seeing some things and experiencing a lot of fear and some difficult things with seeing them go through what they went through, which sometimes I saw firsthand and sometimes had to save them from, I guess, or help them in those situations. And it's such 11, 12, 13. Wow. Yeah, so that's a crucial time in your life. And I think one part of me never experimenting with those things was that, and the other part of me was that I met God so early. And I think there's a little bit of both in that, just never having the need to try it. Like I never had the need to drink. I never felt a need to be cool and drink or to
Me too.
fit in and smoke.
I know.
Like, I was just like, that's so dumb.
I was peer pressured to have like one drag of cigarette by my friend who was relentless. She was relentless. And I was like, fine, I'll just have like one puff on a cigarette and then you can be happy, okay? And I was like, that was disgusting. Are you happy? You know, like.
That's so funny because I don't even know what the difference was between me and, because my friends were kind of the cool kids in school. Like it wasn't like I was friends with all the losers as such. Like it was, it was actually the cool kids, and they did a lot of experimenting with those things at high school, and
content not to. Yeah.
I just never did. So I always used to drive them, or I always used to, pick them up, or I always used to, like, I was always that person, and I don't even know why. Like I think there's a little bit of both of those things that kind of affected my decision not to, but I think it was a conscious decision at some point to be like, actually, that's not the life I want. I know how silly they look and I don't want to be like that. Or I don't even know, now that I'm older, I don't know what made me never do it, but I think thinking back, it's probably a little bit of both of those, and never feeling the need to, I didn't need that to fulfill me, or I didn't need that to prove something to somebody, or I was just content with how I was. Yeah. But so school was great. I think my relationship with God at the time was good. Obviously ups and downs, just like any other relationship. And when you're at school, life gets busy. Sometimes I was doing lots of sports at the time, so that also took a lot of time out of my days. But always went on camps. Always did we had like these I don't know what you'd call it here, but school nights where all the schools come together and worship. We'll have like a worship night, or they do that like quite a lot there.
I never did that in my school.
So they did that there, and then they're like, we would have like a night where we have like a worship night at our school, and then the other schools would come, and then we'd do another worship night at their school, and then we'd go there. So a lot of those kind of things. So you're always around it, talking about it, singing those songs. It was like 363, Blessed Be Your Name. Do you remember that song?
Yes, I do.
That was
living that life.
That was that time. And I remember so clearly like singing those songs and just feeling so good, and like I'm connected with God, and just Holy Spirit moments. And had a really good I had a good time at high school, but without having a good time, like the world would say that today, because in the world it looks very different today, having a good time as a teenager.
I had a great time as a teenager.
Yeah, but it was fun.
I was getting into trouble, but it was like the most low-key, basic kind of trouble that like it was not even a big
I got a tattoo when I was 15.
You rebel.
And no, but my dad, I was like, oh, can I get a tattoo? And he said no. And we called the tattoo place at break time. We're like, oh my gosh, what do we need to do? And they're like, oh, you need to get somebody to sign it off, and they need to be above 18. And we were like, okay, we'll be there. So I asked my sister. She came and signed for my friends. There were 5 of us.
Wow.
And she signed it off. I need to remind her of that.
Incredible.
Oh my god.
How long did you manage to keep that a secret from your
parents?
parents?
I told him like the same day, and he was actually so angry. He was like, oh, I knew you were going to go down this road one day. Blah, 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 blah.
Ask what the tattoo was?
I got like a little cross.
Hey, it's for
Of course.
Jesus.
Oh, my
Dad.
ankle. I've still got it. I'll show you after.
Yes, please.
It's so funny. It's like a battle scar. No, but we did that, and I'd never forget that. He was like, oh, is this now the start of the end for you as well? Now we've seen all your siblings go off the rails, and that's given us a really hard time, and now we're thinking you're also going to go down the rails. Now, this was the start of that for them, but I'm happy. It wasn't.
No.
It was just, I was such a rebel that day. I remember, I felt so good about it. I was like, yes.
And then that was your rebellion cup, like, all poured out. So
I was like, I'm never doing that again. Yeah.
Well, okay, well, let's kind of carry on then with the journey. So, great time at boarding school, Christian faith. How did you come to New Zealand? Like, how did this all, like, or what stage of life were you at?
Yeah.
How much longer were you in South Africa?
So I was there for all my high school, and then when I was 17, I was 17, just about to turn 18, and my dad lost his business and we went bankrupt. Our family went bankrupt, and we lost everything, our house, furniture, everything in the process, and it happened really fast, actually. So we went from being pretty well off and sought after to having absolutely nothing. Wow. And it was hard at 17 to go through something like that, but Did
it affect you much because were you at home when that all happened, or were you at boarding school?
I was at boarding school still, but my mum and dad had in the meantime moved to the city as well, and my dad he acquired like a business there, and it went under, and due to many other reasons, but it went under and then went bankrupt, was declared bankrupt, and then we stayed there, but my dad and my brother had to come to New Zealand then to start a new life because my dad was already quite old, so they flew here, sold our furniture, used that money to buy 2 plane tickets here, and my mum and my other sister stayed in the flat with my sister and her boyfriend at the time. They then eventually came over as well a few months later. So the last year of my school, I was there by myself. My older sister was there with her boyfriend, but they were at university. And so that last year, between 17 and 18, my parents had immigrated already, and I had to finish school because I was in an all-Afrikaans school, so I couldn't transfer my schooling here.
Oh, I see.
Go to English school now all of a sudden if I've got all my things on it. There was just no way. Plus, they probably couldn't pay international fees. So my dad and my brother worked on dairy farms here just outside of Hamilton, and I came here in 2009, but finished that whole year there by myself, which was super, super hard.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was that like?
It was so rough. I remember being so, like, overseas is far.
Yes, especially South Africa.
Overseas is so far. It's not like, Mum, can you come for the weekend, or can you come next month? It's like we're sticking this out for the year, and then maybe I'll see you next year. It was so hard.
And like, I know you had your sister there.
Yep.
But she's still young. I mean, how old is she?
Yeah, so she was like 20 maybe.
20. Yeah, and that's still young.
Yeah. So they were living their merry old lives, having fun as uni students. And I actually ended up living with one of my friends. Her mum and dad had separated, and they had an extra room in their house that they set up for me, and then ended up moving in there and boarding there, which was such a lifesaver. I think I will forever be grateful for that. Just having some sort of a home environment with a mother figure that's there, but was probably one of the most monumental years of my life because I had to grow up overnight.
That's what I was thinking. Like, there's a lot of maturing that you had to do. I
actually had to just grow up overnight.
Wow.
And just make it work. So that's what we did, yeah. And in February of 2009, 6 days before my birthday, I came here to New Zealand to join them. Yeah. Was the best day of my life when I walked into my mum's house.
I bet it was.
I could smell the lasagna she'd made, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was like 3 a.m. and I'm eating lasagna, and I'm like, this is my mum's lasagna.
Yay.
You know.
What a feeling.
I know, us mums, we hold so much power as mothers, and I think that's something then in that moment I was like, this is just, no lasagna tastes like this. Just because it's my mum's, just because she made it.
Relationship is
So, yeah, we landed here. They were still struggling quite a bit financially here to get on their feet, but it was just the most beautiful time to come back to them, and hated New Zealand at first, hated it here, but was so happy to be with my mum and dad. it was just the best thing. I remember just driving from the airport and I was like, oh, it's so nice just hearing their voices and they're right here and it's not over a phone or Skype. Yeah. Back then we used to Skype.
Yes, I remember those days.
And they just here. It's just I can touch you and I can feel you and you're here and it's been, so that was a difficult year. I mean, if you think about between 17 and 18, 17 and 19, that's also it's an important time in your life as a young person.
Totally.
But we just had to make it work and
you did.
I don't even know how. I don't even know how I think of it and it feels like somebody else's story I'm telling.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that? Like when you tell a story and you're like, that doesn't even feel like...
Wait, did that actually happen? Yes, it did.
Like, am I making this up?
Yeah.
Like, is this even real? Well, what's happening with me? No, but it's just crazy thinking back because it feels like it's so far away, so long ago that it's almost like this distant memory. But when I actually sit like now and I think back, I just have a million thoughts and feelings because it's so many raw emotions that come back. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so what was life like when you were kind of establishing yourself in New Zealand? Like, were you connected in with a church? Did you get a job? Did you have a boyfriend? Like, what was going on with you?
So we weren't allowed to work because we were under 21, my sister and I, and we were under my dad to get residency. So
okay.
You're not actually allowed to work during that time. You just have to be fully dependent on your dad. So we used to live on this dairy farm outside an old mountain road by Whatawhata in Te Pahu, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And it was foggy and raining, and it's just hills and cows and cow poop everywhere. And we went into winter when I'd been here for a few months, and that winter was the worst time. We all felt so depressed because it's foggy, and the fog doesn't lift there for the whole day. Like sometimes it's 4 p.m. and it's still foggy and we didn't have a car because we were too poor. So we would just sit on the farm all day, my sister and I, listen to loud music, maybe make some food for my dad when he comes home for lunch. So our lives were pretty simple, but we joined the South African church first in Hamilton, and found some really good friends there as well. And they would visit us or would visit them, which was really, really nice. Yeah, we had 2 sisters who were also South African girls, and they were around the same ages as us. So we spent quite a lot of time at their house just hanging out with them. But unfortunately, we weren't allowed to work, which made it so much harder to adjust because you're in this new country. You're not getting to know anybody. No. And it was hard. I remember the first time I went to Pack and Save and I was like, can't understand what these people are saying.
Really?
Yeah, because they were talking so fast. I'm like, what did you say? I was like, what? Who speaks like that?
But you knew English, or was it just the
Yes,
way
it was just the way. And I remember the first time hearing it and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to communicate with them or understand them. Or it was really, really, really scary. But my sister and I, we formed a beautiful relationship in that time. We spent every day, the whole day together, and that was really special. And we still have a very special bond today. Actually, me and both my sisters have very special connections and relationships, which is such a blessing because a lot of people don't have that. They have got lots of broken relationships. So very lucky. So, yeah, we just sat on the farm all day. That's not really an exciting answer, but, yeah, we really just sat on the farm all day and just
waited until you turned 21.
Did take turns to mow the big lawn because it was a massive lawn. It was so big, and we had this little lawnmower, and you just push up and down, and the more you lawn, the messier it gets because it's wet, and the more you, it's just a mess. But yeah, no, it was good. So that was for about, I think, 2 or 3 years. I got like a cash job at a butchery at some point, and they just kind of helped me just to keep me busy and get me out of the house, which was really good. And then did some babysitting, like after school babysitting for a guy, and those were my first 2 jobs. Yeah.
Wow. And so how did you meet your husband?
So Jake, I joined a Irish church in 2000. We don't go there anymore, but we joined there in 2000. I joined there in 2010, late 2010, and in 2012 he joined the church late in 2012, and he's a drummer. So everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, did you see? Everybody's looking for a husband." You know, there's like 20 girls and one guy.
Shame, but it's so true.
So true. There's like 20 girls, one guy. Everybody's like, he's mine. Because there were no guys in church. They were all just girls. And I remember in 2013 I did an internship, and I remember early in my internship, like the third or second week, everybody in the office talking about this new drummer, and have you seen him? And he's such a good drummer, and he's so handsome, and he's sucks to looks.
It's like he's mine.
And I was just like, no, I haven't seen him.
You weren't interested?
I haven't noticed him. I was just like, I really haven't even noticed him until I did.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
That's the guy.
that's the new drummer. But obviously composed myself and pretended like I wasn't interested, because that's what you do. But I was doing an internship in our creative space, which is a lot of setting up the backdrops and the production team, working the production team, running the services and stuff. And obviously because he's on the band, we got to talk a little bit, and just became like the conversations were like 1 minute longer every Sunday. And then eventually halfway through my internship in July, we actually went on our first date. He finally mucked up the courage to ask me to go on a date. So we did, and that was it. That was it. I think on our first date, I told him, look, I just want to tell you, if you don't want to marry me, then don't take me on a second date, because I'm not here to play games. And that's not who I am. And then I thought he wasn't going to text me again, but he did. And so we dated secretly for a few weeks, because obviously I was an intern and we weren't really allowed to date.
So I didn't even know that this was a thing, that you can't date if
It was a
you're an
thing.
intern.
It was a thing. Like when we were interning, we weren't allowed to date at all.
Wow.
Which is so ironic, because I'd only had one boyfriend ever before him, and we were in a relationship for 3 years. And I know what I want. Like, I'm very like with anything in life. Like, I'm not like wishy-washy. I'm like, there's a plan, there's a purpose. Let's stick to the plan to achieve the goal, you know. And kind of the same with boys. Like, never was really into boys at school. Also, partly because I was way bigger and uglier than all of my friends growing up.
What?
It's a thing. Like,
Gorgeous.
I was so much bigger than all my friends at school. I think I was the only one in my whole friend group of like 20 that never got asked to go to a ball with a boy.
Wow.
Yeah. And these are things you never forget, you know, you just never...
I'm looking at you and I'm shocked.
You just never get over it, though. It's just something that you never get over. And I remember like going through my whole high school, and not once did a boy ask me to go to a ball with him, and all my friends went to ball after ball after ball after ball with them, and I just never got asked. And maybe it's just because I was so different from them, but I was always a much bigger framed girl. And so going into my internship, I wasn't really focused on boys, partly I think because of never getting attention from boys outside of maybe 1 or 2 or 3 that really liked me. And then I met Jake, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually falling in love with this guy, and it's happening fast, but we're not allowed to date. So we then approached our church, our upline, and we were like, okay, this is happening. The conversation didn't go very well. We were told that it's probably not the right thing for us. We don't know what we want. We should wait till next year when I'm not committed in the church serving space. And I just said, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it with or without you, because this is actually, I like him. And I feel like it's the right thing for me. And he was like, yep. So we did. We kept dating. We didn't officially date, like go out as girlfriend and boyfriend, but we were still seeing each other regularly. And my mum, his parents and my parents were really supportive of that. So that was really nice. And hung out all the time. It was the best. It was the best time. So I finished my internship, and actually the night of my graduation, he asked me to be his girlfriend. Oh. And so we started dating, and then that next June, 6 months later, asked me to marry him, and that December we got married.
Wow.
Yeah. So it all happened really fast. Yeah. But I wouldn't change it now for the world. Wow. Yeah. We've had our seasons, but just like everybody else. But I think looking back now, I wouldn't. And I won the drummer. I won the drummer.
That's bravo. We're going to have to take a photo and like hang it up in a church. It can be done, ladies.
I'm like, I won the war. No. Look at my trophy. No, love doesn't ask questions, and I think it was just one of those things. We were just drawn to each other, and one thing led to another, and here we are.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so happy for you. So great. And then your marriage was perfect. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, well, very perfect. No issues. I hope you don't ask me that question because that's a long answer.
I know. Okay. We'll see. Maybe the Lord wants to go there. We'll see
Oh,
what
that's so
happens.
funny.
But I would really love to know, like, during all that time, it seems like your faith was pretty solid. Mm-hmm. And did you bring that into your marriage? Like, how did you two walk together with Jesus in your marriage?
Yeah, so we were always, obviously we got to know each other when we were already having our own walks with God, and we were very active in church and there and busy with that, and which was really awesome. And I think really early on in our relationship, we had lots of talks about what we wanted it to look like long term, like what we wanted it to look like long term, who I am, who he is, what he feels, what I feel. And I think those are really important discussions to have so early on. That was even before he asked me to be his girlfriend. Wow. We had these talks about, if we had a future, what would that look like in terms of pursuing God and following God, and what that would look like. The last few years have been tough because of what we've been through, and there hasn't always been time to invest back into that space with us together. So we're a little bit on our own journeys at the moment with that, but I think we've just always remembered why we're together, and it's because God placed us together.
I love that.
And always reminded each other that that's where we are because of God, and who we are is because of God, and what we are is because of him and what he's done for us. I love talking with Jake about God. He's just very shy. He doesn't really talk that much, especially with heart things. He's very reserved with that, but he's so wise, and you need him on your podcast, and your ladies on your podcast.
Hey, who knows? Maybe one day I'll expand the net. We'll let some men in. We'll see.
Yeah, he's just such a safe space to me, and I think it's because of how he loves God and how he has followed God for a long time in his life. Yeah, he was also brought up in a home where they instilled those real strong Christian values, and his mum and dad have really done a great job of raising him that way, and I can see it in who he is today. So we're still journeying, we're still on the journey. It's very up and down, just like with everything else in life, but there's times where we're like this and times where we're like this, and it's, reminding each other when we're like this that we need to actually come back together and look at God again. And so, yeah, we're very much like this at the moment in this season. But the main thing is that when we are far away, and when we know that either is far away from God, that we can kind of bring each other together again and closer to God. It's such a hard thing to navigate sometimes when you're on two different. Jake and I have always been on different stages at different times.
Just because you're one, when we get married, to become one, right?
Yeah.
But you still have your own mind, you still have your own things that you go through.
Yeah.
And so you're right, the coming back together though is so crucial.
It's so hard. Yeah. It's so hard because we're always on different. I see these people on TV and I'm they're always so walking in the same steps, and they're always this together and pursuing God at the same time in the same way, and I love that, but we're just not like that, and we've never been, and I don't think we ever will be, because we're total opposites, opposite galore. You won't get more opposite than Jake and I think that's why it's always we have to just remind ourselves and remind each other that this is our purpose, this is our goal, and this is where we need to be. Yeah.
And God at the centre.
Yeah, exactly.
What a great foundation.
Exactly.
So good.
Honestly, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have been here. 100%, I would say that over and over again. If we didn't have God, we wouldn't have still been married. Not a chance. Wow. So, yeah, very thankful that we came into it already knowing him.
Yeah.
And always coming back to who he is.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk now about marriage life. Mm-hmm. We've talked about that, which is great. But babies, this I feel is something that I wasn't prepared for as a wife, is how much having babies can rock your marriage. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I don't even know how to put this into words, because having children changed everything for me, not just in our marriage, but also who I was as a person. And, oh, my gosh, so we have Eli. She's 8. Mm-hmm. And she's gorgeous, and she's got a beautiful nature about her, and she's just the most amazing big sister, and with the most amazing gentle nature. She's a listener. She's the child that the teachers put in the class with all the autistic kids because she can regulate them. And like, I'm not even kidding. Like, she's got like 3 autistic children in her class because she's the only one in the year level that can actually help them regulate. You know, she's got all these friends that are special and she meets them where they're at. And she's got an amazing heart for people and caring for people and listening and filling in the gap for people. Then we had Dallas about 13 months later, which was a total whoops. Wow. Like, that was not planned because after I had Eli, I had pretty bad postnatal depression. I gained a lot of weight, like 30, 40 kgs after I had her, and was just in a funk, like was not in a good place at all, which made it hard for Jake and everybody. And I was like, I'm not having any more kids. And then I found out I was pregnant and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
So soon after.
And I should have been happy, but I genuinely wasn't when I took that test. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing that could happen right now. Anyway, so we had Dallas. Now, Dallas is just refreshing and he is busy and wild and boy and crazy, but so affectionate and so good with his words and expressing his feelings. And they just make the best brother and sister because she's so quiet and gentle and reserved and crazy at times, just like any other child, but he's just like crazy. He's like crazy, like boy crazy. Like, he is a boy through and through, and he is not easily controlled and just wild, but also has this gentle nature about him. Then after him, obviously, I was already depressed going into that, then had him and really hit a slump with my postnatal depression, like was really suicidal, went on really strong medication. Like, I was not well, for the year after I had him. That's when Jake was like, I'm never having another child again. He was like, you need to listen now. You need to sit down and listen. I'm not doing this again because I've not only lost you, I've lost our relationship and I'm mourning that, and now we have to raise these 2 kids, so there's no time to rebuild what we've lost in our marriage, and, you know, it's hard. It's so hard. So we were raising those 2 littlies, and we were just working to survive and put food on the table, and life was busy and crazy. They were in full-time daycare. It was just a rush to get through the days, you know, as it is for many people today. It's just survival of the fittest. Yeah. I call this like not the circle of life, but the circus of life.
That's great.
I'm like, this is just the circus of life and we're just trying to survive. Yeah. But when Dallas was about 3, I got a little bit better. I had weight loss surgery at some point in 2019, lost heaps of weight, felt so much better.
Is it like the
gastric sleeve?
Sleeve?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was very overweight and very depressed, and the doctor was like, look, what can we do to help you here? So I was like, well, how about we do that? So I had insurance at the time. The insurance paid for the surgery, so I did that. And that was just the offset of a new life for me. I think it just started a whole new perspective. And you know how they say health is wealth, and it really is, because it's when I started being healthier and being more mindful of what I eat and how I train and how I move and how I'm present with my kids, it enabled me to do a lot of things that I couldn't do before. And so my depression started healing. Really? Wow. It wasn't a God thing that I was like, God, heal me. Like, obviously I was praying that God would heal me, but he never did. It was the things that I did that slowly healed it and made it better. And so over the next 2 years, we're still on antidepressants and just slowly got better and better and better and better. And then I was like, I just want one more baby.
But can I just ask,
yes,
before we get to that, how was your marriage after the weight loss and after, you know, all of that?
So Jake and I have always had real ups and real downs. Like I'm talking separation downs. Like we've had multiple seasons where we have had conversations about just giving up because it's just easier.
Marriage is hard.
Hard. As much as I hate saying it out loud, this is the reality of what it was. And you want to sit here and say, oh no, it's all good. We just prayed and God, you know, God did his thing, and we just went to church and we worshipped him and he saved us. But actually it wasn't like that, and it still isn't. It still isn't. And so we went through some really tough seasons when we were talking about leaving, going our separate ways. And I remember it was mostly from me always being like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm done. I'm not joking. I'm really done. And I really felt like I was, because I was tired and I didn't have energy to to marriage anymore. I was like, I
Yeah.
just want to be by myself. Like I don't want to be married anymore. But somehow, and it must be God, because how can you explain that we just work through it every single time? And it wasn't like a miraculous moment where we were like, oh my gosh, there's the restoration, there's the healing, there's the fix. It was just like, we look back now and we're like, how did we get through that? Like it just happened. And I don't even know how. Like I can't even say what was the thing, what were the things. I think it's God, because he was in it from the start and he will be in it till the end, you know?
And it would, like you were saying, we can sometimes feel like we need to point to a moment and be like, that was the moment. But sometimes the moment is just surviving another day.
Yeah.
Loving.
Yeah. Just choosing
to love. Yeah.
And it was choosing day in and day out. And I think there were things that happened in our marriage where trust was broken in certain ways that really took a toll on our marriage. And we've had to rebuild that trust just by communicating openly and doing those things intentionally every day, all day, and making some changes going forward so that doesn't happen again. And I think that's been a big part of it. When I was depressed and I was really a horrible wife. Like, I am not proud of.
I've been a horrible wife too.
But I'm really not proud of that. And I think if there's anything in my life that I would take back, it would be that, because I remember Jake sitting me down once and he was like, you really broke me. And I will never forget him telling me that, because he said, you broke me as a man. Like, you're already super independent and you never need me. And now you've broken me even more because you've been so, I want to say like verbally abusive, but it's probably not verbal abuse, but it's borderline at least. You know, just I've got a sharp tongue, and when I'm angry, I say it, and when I feel something, I say it. And it wasn't always in the best way. I've gotten a lot better with that over the last 5-6 years, but those first 4 years, I would just say whatever the heck I wanted to him, and he just had to deal with it because I was depressed and I was not even thinking.
There was no rudder on that ship.
There really wasn't. There really wasn't. And it took years, and I think he's still working through that. But yeah, it's just amazing looking back now. I'm like, gosh, God is so real, because that's why I say to you, the fact that we're married today is like, that's a miracle. Like, the fact that Jake and I are still together is a miracle. There's no other way to look at it. Yeah. It's a God thing, because in normal circumstances or without God, we wouldn't have been. Yeah, we definitely wouldn't have been. But like you said, it's just that choosing every day, choosing to love, choosing to serve, choosing to listen, choosing to trust again.
Choosing to lay down as well.
Yeah, 100%. So we're both very stubborn. And if one of us is stubborn, I feel like you can still work with it. But if both people are stubborn human beings, that's hard. Because who's going to say sorry? Who's going to forgive? Who's going to be the soft one? Who's going to be the vulnerable one? And I feel like now we're in a good groove. Like, now over the last 2 years, we've had to learn to be different. We have had to learn to be different.
Have you had to learn like how to submit to each other?
Yes,
that's
so hard.
Thing, right?
So hard.
It is
so difficult. Marriage is the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the best thing. So there's moments where we're in the house and it's crazy and the kids are laughing and it's just, the house is a mess, but I look around me and I'm like, there he is sitting on the couch with the kids and they're playing, and Harley's here and everybody's, it's so beautiful, those moments where I'm like, wow, God's really brought us through that. Not that we're over it, but I mean, we'll never be, but it's enjoying the chaos, embracing the chaos. Yeah.
the circus.
Yeah, the circus of life.
Well, then let's hear it, because you mentioned Harley just then. Let's hear about how Harley came into the world.
Okay, so I really wanted another baby. So I was like, Dallas was about 4 when I started talking to Jake about like maybe. But then that was after he was like, look at me, we're not having another baby because you're crazy. You're crazy. This is not who I married. This is not who I chose. And I can't do this again. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But then I had this thought that I just wasn't fulfilled. Like, I felt like I just needed that one last child. And I knew in my heart that I wasn't full and my heart wasn't full and we weren't complete. And I was like begging him, like, please, 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 let me have another baby. Please, can you let me have another baby? And he was like, no, 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 no. And then one day he said to me, he said, okay, well, if I make you a deal. And I was like, okay, put it on the table. And he said, if I never have to wake up at nighttime, like not once, we can have another baby. And I was like, wow, okay. Well, that's easy. Like I could,
Of course.
I could wake up. Like,
who wouldn't?
that's an easy one. I was like, okay, cool. So I made him a promise. I said, that's fine. I promise you never have to wake up ever again for a baby. And we tried. Then I fell pregnant pretty quickly, but we lost that baby, which was our third loss during our marriage. We had 2 losses before we had Eli. And we then fell pregnant again and found out that it was a little girl. And she was at her 20-week scan. They found that something was wrong with her heart and we had to come back for the second scan. Went back for the second scan. They said nothing was wrong. It's all good. We can go home. And then when she was 39 weeks, I had my C-section and she was born, and that was Harley. Enter Harley, our last baby, completing our family. How a beautiful experience.
And he's never going to have to get up in the night, right?
He's never going to have to do anything apart from just the basic dad things. Yep. I've got this.
The deal is done.
I've got this. I can do it. It's all good. I'm super mom. I'm healed from my depression. I've got capacity, whatever.
Yeah.
And enter Harley.
Coming up next week on the Outside of Sunday podcast.
And I remember being on that operating table when they took her out and feeling sick. But like something wasn't right sick. Like I looked at Jake and I was like, this is different. That night again, I asked the nurse, I was like, Harley's breathing. I'm not sure. Something's off. Something's not right. And she goes, no, she's fine. Next day the doctor comes and I asked everybody, I'm like, her breathing is weird, like different. And she's looking to me like she's working hard to breathe. And they check her. They're like, no, she's fine. And I always said, something's not right. Something's not right. I feel like something's not right with her. But when you get medical professionals checking her and they say nothing's wrong, you just trust it. And so we went home when she was 2 days old and Harley started crying 24/7. She would be crying, like at the top of her lungs, no matter what I did, even cuddling, holding, feeding, nothing. And she came in and she said, I think Harley's okay. Don't worry about it too much. We'll just see maybe later in the week we can transfer to Starship by ambulance. And I remember asking, like, does she have to die before you guys do anything? Like, is my child going to have to die before you do something? Because she's dying. I can see it. She's busy dying in front of my eyes.
Hey, thanks again for listening to this episode of the Outside of Sunday podcast. If something made you laugh or cry or think a little deeper, please give this episode a like and leave us a comment. Your feedback blesses us and we want to bless you right back. So every comment automatically goes in the draw for our monthly giveaway. Who knows, I might even read your comment out in a future episode. And hey, sharing is caring. So don't forget to let somebody you know about this podcast. Outside of Sunday is part of the Outsider Network and is made with the help of Inspirational Media.